Good evening and welcome to Arizona Illustrated for Tuesday, the 4th of December, 2012. I'm Tony Paniagua. Arizona used to play a big role in the production of Hollywood movies, but in recent years, more of these jobs have been going to other states or even other countries. However, Nogales, Arizona served as a scene for a Hollywood production this year, and the community hopes it is just one of many economic roles that the city can embrace. For more on this, we are joined by Nogales Mayor Arturo Garino. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
So let's begin with a little bit of the history of this movie, filming down in Nogales. The movie is called Hangover 3. And how did it come about, the fact that Nogales was used for this part of this film?
Well, actually, they went to scout Nogales, some of the producers, and they went to my office. And while we were there, well, of course, being the mayor, I'm going to make sure that any type of business that shows up in Nogales stays in Nogales. We worked at it, and we talked with my analyst and some of the employees in the city, some of my staff. And we got together with some of the downtown merchants. And we discussed it. We discussed, what we could offer them and how safe Nogales was for the film industry to be there and anybody else in Nogales. And they said, you know what, Mayor? They were going to give me a 2-week notice, and they said, you know what, we're going to film in Nogales. And I was so happy. And then after that, the casting came around, and they hired almost 400 people from Nogales and the surrounding area, actually, from Marana, from Tucson, Sierra Vista. So I got to meet a lot of people, and a lot of people went to Nogales, but it was unbelievable. I mean, the excitement in Nogales hadn't been like that for many, many years. It was great.
And he gets to play the role of Tijuana, Mexico in this particular movie. But what we were talking ahead of this interview, the fact that it was a big contributor economically. You don't have the specific figures, but you heard from a lot of people along the way.
Oh, yes. Some of the restaurants and the hotels and the other businesses along in Nogales, they have all, one way or another, gotten a hold of my office and actually said, Mayor, thank you very much for this support and this boost economically. And also a lot of the people that were basically casted for it, they all got a little bit of money too. And so it was very good, Another thing, I even played an attorney in the movie. It was fun, so they even gave me a little shot. I might even have my 5 seconds of fame there.
In addition to what you're getting here today, right?
Okay. maybe this is longer, though.
Right.
But it was great. It was very enjoyable.
Great. You were elected in November of 2010, but you are not new to Nogales. You were born there. You've served as a police officer, firefighter, council member, U.S. Army, U.S. Navy. What keeps you there, and why do you have so much hope for this community?
Well, as I said, my mother was born in Santana, Sonora, and my dad was born in New York City. They met after World War II in Nogales. So my roots are deep in Nogales, and I strongly believe in our city. And I believe in the strength of the state of Arizona through our port. Nogales is the model port of the state of Arizona. It's very important for the economy. So I want to work very hard, and I've been doing that in the past in the positions that I've had to make sure that Nogales is in that light, which is, to me, very important. And so if we can do that economically, Nogales will be very successful in the state of Arizona because of the produce industry, because of the maquiladora industry that Nogales can offer to the whole state and actually to the whole nation. So I believe that we can do it.
And one of the things that you're looking forward to right now is the reopening or the expansion of the Mariposa Port of Entry?
That is very important. That was over $200 million project that was initiated by this administration, the President Obama's administration. And that will increase twofold on the commerce and also on visitors and tourism for the state of Arizona. That'll facilitate the crossing for not only the trucks, but also for the people in the vehicles. So that'll increase the economy for all of us. Let's hope that as a state, we take advantage of these opportunities because Mexico being our #1 trading partner for the state of Arizona, we should embrace that.
We were speaking about that ahead of this interview about how the stereotype of Nogales, Arizona, because it's on the border, is that it's not a safe city. People really shouldn't go down there. And obviously it is your job as the mayor to try to dissuade people from thinking that way, right?
Of course, last year in September in UTEP, we signed the Border Mayors Association and we decided that we were going to fight as mayors from San Diego all the way to Brownsville for the perception of the border to make sure that everybody understands that it is very safe. Nogales has a 21%, according to the Uniform Crime Report of the FBI, which is very safe. That means you can almost leave your doors open at night. Being on the border, it's hard for people to understand that. You say, you know what, all the issues along the border. Those issues have always been there, probably will always be there. But what we have to do is look at it in a certain way that we can say, you know what, let's use this for the benefit of the state of Arizona. And Nogales, being at 21%, and a lot of the cities north of Nogales in the 40s, we're along the border. We're the ones that's we're not supposed to be safe, but we are the safest. It's the same way. I found out this from all the mayors from San Diego to Brownsville, that they feel the same way about their communities because of the per capita. We have more law enforcement along the border than any other city in the state. So we are one of the safest communities.
So we spoke about Hangover 3. Any other major projects that you see coming in the near future for the city, whether they be based on a movie or something else?
Well, I hope the film industry continues coming to the city of Nogales and to the state of Arizona. I think when they come in, they can really generate not only the economy, but also generate the morale in the communities. It's a real good boost for the communities. But in our area, the maquiladora industry and the produce industry is what's number one. And we hope that the state of Arizona, as well as other representatives that we have, help us with the infrastructure that we need so that we can continue being the model port of the state of Arizona for the whole state of Arizona.
All right, Mayor Arturo Garino from Nogales, good luck to you as you begin a new year in 2013 as the mayor of that city.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Hummingbirds are some of the most popular and beautiful members of our natural environment, but even these tough little birds can get into trouble sometimes and will benefit from the help of a human friend. Tonight, we are joined by Noreen Geyer-Kordosky to tell us more. She is a state licensed rehabilitator who is seeking volunteers to work with hummingbirds. Noreen, thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
So when did you discover this passion of working with hummingbirds?
Well, I have worked about 20-some years in wildlife rehabilitation, and I felt that hummingbirds did very well in sort of a species-specific environment where I would just take them on my own and do the rehabilitation away from some other species, sort of to reduce stress and for optimal health.
So what are some of the things that you have to do with hummingbirds in order to rehabilitate them?
Well, the license you mentioned that I have from the state, and then also I'm permitted by the federal migratory bird permit, that gives me the authority to go out or go to take a hummingbird that is in stress or distress, or a hummingbird that is endangered by being out there, to transport the hummingbird back to me, to care for the hummingbird, to seek medical help, and to release. And a lot of the calls I get about hummingbirds are about nests. People are concerned about a nest, and they're confused about the fact that they're not seeing the female bird. Only the female feeds the young, and they're not seeing her feeding the young, and so they're very concerned about that. And often, most of the time, if I give them instructions of what to do, and they call me back, they find out that indeed the young are still being cared for. So that happens. Sometimes we get wind conditions or landscaping issues where nests are taking down, and I actually work to put them back up, to recreate nests if I need to. Anything to keep the hummingbird back out there.
And of course, the babies are a big concern for you. Tell us a little bit about what happens with the fledglings.
Well, the youngest ones, the hatchlings that come in, can fit about on the size of a penny. Those are the ones you try very much not to take because they really need to stay out there and be fed by the parent. What I have here is if I do take them, often I can keep them in the nest that they were in. And again, I try my best not to do that. So how do I do that? I monitor to make sure that there's no female coming back. They might come in this little nest. This is a nest that was made by a hummingbird. And it will be placed then in this little container that I can keep on heat because these young birds will need to be kept at about 95 to 97 degrees. They'll need to be fed kind of simulating what mama does. And so I will feed them a protein-rich diet and fats and carbohydrates. And I don't know how well this shows, but this little tip on here is able to get down into the hummingbird's crop and to feed the hummer. It's a very challenging and very delicate situation. I also make sure there's no mites or anything on the hummingbird. I regulate the temperature with a little temperature gauge, and I log every hummingbird. This goes on the hummingbird, follows it from the time it's here to the time it goes into other enclosures, eventually goes outside, and that's logged in my state paperwork, which I have to send in.
And in 2011, you took care of dozens of birds here in the Tucson area?
In 2011, I actually had 63 hummingbirds that came to me. And prior to that, I think the year before that was around 49. One of the reasons I want to create a team to, not only in Pima County, but southern Arizona, so anybody from Pinal, Pima, Santa Cruz, or Cochise County that's interested in becoming a team member. This is not necessarily to be licensed as a rehabber, but a team member, so that we can handle phone calls, go out and monitor nests. We can keep young, not only nestlings, but fledglings there, and then we can safely transport those that definitely need attention.
And we were speaking prior to this interview, and you were mentioning how cats, domestic cats, are a big problem when it comes to not only hummingbirds, but also other native birds.
They definitely are. They're a huge problem. And Game and Fish actually has a very good brochure that they'll make available to people, and you're willing to, they'll let you get one and copy as many as you want or put them in your newsletters. And it is about cats, and not only how to keep them inside, maybe how to entertain them inside or whatever. So they can be really devastating for wildlife, as you said. For fledgling birds that are just learning to fly, often I have all kinds of ways that I've been able to manage that environment with monitoring. But if there are cats around roaming, then I do have to take the bird.
So is it easy, difficult to work with these little tiny creatures? I know that you gave us some pictures of where it shows the size of these little birds. It's like the size of a postage stamp.
Yeah. I actually sort of dwarfed by this postage stamp. Yeah, that's a hatchling. It is difficult. It's very difficult, especially the very young ones. And so, that's my goal, is not to take them. Try my best not to do it, to keep them out there. But I've had some great situations where I've actually, you mentioned falling out of a nest. I had a nestling. This little nest sometimes can start to get a little too small for two growing hummingbirds. And I had a nestling that had fallen out of a nest twice. I came and I took that nestling. They kept the other nestling in the yard. And I told them, call me as soon as you see this bird starting to flap its wings, the one they had, ready to branch out and to become a fledgling. And they did. And I ran the bird that I had for 2 days back over, and Mama came back and fed them both.
So you are looking for volunteers. What can a volunteer expect to do, he or she, once they decide to get involved with this organization?
Right. Well, my goal is to improve hummingbird rescue and care. My goal is to do accurate and timely information to the public. I think education is extremely important. And so I would want them to sort of be answering phone calls, which they can do from their own home. They would be referred to them, and also to do some safe transport of them to either medical care or to my licensed cooperating vet or to myself, to maybe help with releases. So those kinds of things. I'm hoping that in those 4 counties, I might get someone interested in actually becoming licensed to be a hummingbird rehabber. I'm going to do 3 mandatory classes in January and February. But those will not make you will not be licensed after that. They have to have more than that. Okay,
and then briefly, how do they get in touch with the organization or you?
The best way would be to do my email address, ngkordosky @gmail.com.
Okay, we'll have a link on our website. Thank you very much for being here, Noreen.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
It. Next, we take a look at how scientists are using hummingbirds to get more information about climate change. This story is produced by Gisela Tellis and photojournalist Martin Rubio.
The hills over Sonoyta Creek seem timeless. a place untouched by change. But, like the rest of the world, they're at the mercy of a shifting climate. To understand and prepare for what's to come, scientists are literally going to the birds.
Is to put the band number, the species, the age, and the sex, and Sonoran Creek State Natural Area and the date on it. Okay.
Dr. Susan Wethington has spent nearly a decade studying hummingbirds.
We can take it to the sunlight because this is a really dramatic looking bird.
There's a surprising amount that isn't known about them, she says, and a surprising amount they can tell us about changing forest and climate conditions. Wethington and her colleagues check in with migrating hummingbirds along their route from Mexico to Alaska to piece together the bigger picture.
Conservation is not looking at just one site, but what's happening to the viability of species survival. The goal is to have a network of sites that provide us the information that we need to identify the population trends of all western hummingbirds.
Like little flying laboratories, hummingbirds collect data as they go. The data is in the details, whether they survive and return to the same place, whether they breed successfully, and even how much they weigh.
It's amazing how a fat hummingbird can make a person happy. But what that means is that for these birds that are migrating and they overwinter in southwest Mexico, that they have the resources available to make the next jump to get to their overwintering site.
The stats tell researchers how hummingbird habitat is changing and how well hummingbirds are adapting to that change.
Now, if the phenology, which is the timing of life history events, for example, when flowers bloom, is changing, well, hummingbirds have the ability to adjust to this change in time and modify their movement and migration timings to correspond with when their nectar is available. If not, that's a huge potential for a lot of die-off.
Blackfin? Yes. Hummingbird. And that's all I need to report to you at this point.
The Hummingbird Monitoring Network now spans 30 sites, from Mexico City to British Columbia.
Tail's fresh.
And it wouldn't be possible, Wethington says, without volunteers.
I don't know. I suppose I've handled close to 1,000 of them now over the years.
Jim Lockwood has volunteered in the state park system for 9 years and has trapped hummingbirds for 4. He wakes up at 3 a.m. and travels 22 miles to play his part in hummingbird science.
Well, they aren't really as fragile as they look, fortunately. Otherwise, we could never catch them. So we have to be aware, but you have to have very soft hands to do it. And I've been fortunate. I've been able to do it.
Wethington's other partner in the project is the Arizona State Parks system, and that's where some of her challenges lie. Budget cuts that slashed 75% of state park staff have put the project at a disadvantage. Robert Cassavant, manager of State Parks Science and Research Programs, explains.
It's limited, quite limited by the number of staff we have. We had 2 other sites that we were going to be doing this program, one at Boyce Thompson Arboretum and another one at Alamo Lake or Dead Horse. Both of those had to be abandoned because we don't have staff. We have no more staff to continue the research in those 2 locations except for just this. And this is in jeopardy too. Keep in mind we only have 3 state natural areas, one Verde River Greenbelt, this Sonoran Creek State Natural Area, and San Rafael. 2 of the 3 are closed at this time. So that's how dire the budget situation is for state parks.
Length of the wing is 50.
For now, Wethington and her band of park staff and volunteers are doing what they can to keep the project alive. They will stay on until the days cool and the birds fly south. And they'll be waiting for them again next spring, hoping for the answers they need to keep hummingbirds and their habitat from vanishing.
And away it goes.
Mother Nature is known for putting on impressive shows all over the world, but the action is not limited to planet Earth. Next, we learn about amazing meteor showers that you can enjoy right here in southern Arizona. Caitlin Harrington has that interview.
In the studio with me now is Robert Martino. He is the Public Outreach Program Coordinator for the Kitt Peak Observatory. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Robert, we have you here to talk about an upcoming event with the Kitt Peak Observatory, which is Meteor Mania.
Yes, indeed.
Can you tell our audience a little bit of information about what happens at this event?
Well, Meteor Mania basically is a chance to come up to a nice dark location and watch meteors enter the atmosphere during the Geminid meteor shower. It starts late and runs until about 3 in the morning. And so if you like late nights and cold mountains and meteors, it's for you.
And we talked prior to the interview about this being a family-friendly event.
Yes.
You said there's a good reason to keep your kids out late, and what's that?
Well, because they're going to learn a lot. We do a presentation, we talk about meteors, meteorites, comets, asteroids, and of course, we get to see, hopefully, if the weather cooperates, quite a few of them.
For the people who will be attending this event, do they need to be really knowledgeable in meteors and comets and that kind of stuff, or
No,
can they be
not at
beginners?
all. They can be rank beginners. We'll tell them all about it. They do need to bring warm clothes and perhaps sleeping bags or some lawn chairs to sit.
You said that in order to understand a meteor shower, you first have to understand a meteor.
Yes.
So you have a little demonstration for us. Go ahead and get that started.
You can think of your typical meteor very much like a Rice Krispie. They are about this big, and, oh, lost it. Oh, there's another one. They are about this density. They're very porous, not very dense objects. But they enter the atmosphere moving at about 40,000 miles an hour, and the kinetic energy turns into heat energy, and that vaporizes the meteor completely. So the streak of light that you see in the sky is not the meteor itself, it's the trail of glowing air that it leaves behind as it vaporizes.
Can you tell me, in addition to being able to see this glowing air meteor shower, what are some of the other things that will take place during Meteor Mania? You said you have a presentation and you might be creating something.
Oh yes, I like to make comets. It's one of my hobbies, and so I'll be making a comet, and if anybody is interested in how to do that, certainly come and watch that in action.
About how many meteor showers take place a year in Tucson? How many can you try and watch every year?
Well, it depends on what you mean by meteor shower. There are dozens of meteor showers every year, but some of them have an hourly rate of only 3 or 4 meteors. So very pathetic. There are 3 or 4 really good ones each year. If the moon phase cooperates with us, so it's nice and dark, then we can do this program. Last year, the moon did not cooperate with us. We could not do Meteor Mania at all last year. This year, we had 3 scheduled, and this month will be our last one.
Can you talk to me, in addition to this Meteor Mania, you have some upcoming events in the next few months as well. What are those?
Yes, we have Moon Madness coming, and it is Saturday right before Christmas. After the first of the year, we have many other programs scheduled. You can check out our special programs webpage to find out all about those. And the easiest way to do that is to just Google it, Kitt Peak Special Programs.
For those of our audience members who haven't ever been to Kitt Peak or maybe not know a whole lot about the observatory, what makes this such a great place to not only catch meteor showers and comets, but to also just check out the stars?
Well, it's very dark out where we are. It is a bit of a drive to get out to Kitt Peak, and that's intentional. We're far away from the city lights, very good dark location. Also, being on top of a mountain gets you up above as much of this nasty atmosphere as we possibly can. It makes the seeing better. And we have the largest collection of telescopes anywhere in the world.
Robert, can you tell our audience where they can go to purchase tickets for the Meteor Mania event?
To purchase tickets, you need to call 318-8726. That is our main visitor center number. And the people that answer the phone there, tell them you want to sign up for Meteor Mania, and they will get the information from you that they need, and you'll be all set.
Robert, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a real pleasure.
In tonight's video postcard from photographer and editor Jennifer Knoll, we show you a bit of the Christmas spirit in motion thanks to a collection of toy trains on the move. You can get more news and information on our website, azpm.org. To comment on any story you saw tonight, click on it online and go to the bottom. We can also be reached via Facebook and Twitter. Coming up tomorrow night, we'll tell you about the growing number of TED conferences that are being held around the world. TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. I'm Tony Paniagua. From all of us at Arizona Public Media, we wish you a great night.